Let's take you back to a time when basketball wasn't just about stats or flashy highlights. It was raw, gritty, and full of heart. That's the era Sheryl Swoopes dominated. She didn't just play, she redefined what it meant to be a woman. In sports, people called her the female Michael Jordan, but honestly, that comparison doesn't do justice to who she was. Sheryl carved her own path, breaking barriers long before anyone thought women's basketball could become what it is today. When she stepped onto the court, the game changed. Every dribble, every pass, every shot came with a sense of purpose. This wasn't just about winning games, it was about proving something bigger. She won 3 Olympic gold medals, 4 WNBA championships, and countless awards. But more than that, she showed young girls everywhere that they could dream big, no matter where they came from. Her story wasn't just about basketball, it was about resilience, passion, and leaving a mark on the world. Fast forward to now and the game looks completely different. The players are faster, stronger, and smarter. And right at the center of this new generation, a young star named Caitlin Clark. If you've been following college basketball lately, chances are you've heard her name. She's not just good, she's electrifying. Watching her play feels like witnessing magic unfold. She can score from anywhere on the court, dish out assists like it's second nature, and make plays that leave fans gasping for air. One night, during a Sweet 16 matchup, against UConn, a team known for its dominance, Caitlin dropped 35 points. Not only did she lead her team to victory, but she also broke records along the way. Social media exploded. Fans were buzzing. Analysts couldn't stop talking about how special she was. It seemed like everyone agreed. Caitlin Clark was rewriting history books one game at a time. But here's the thing about legends. They don't always step aside quietly. When someone asked Sheryl Swoopes about Caitlin's record-breaking performance, her response caught everyone off guard. With a smirk, she said, "I don't care how many points she scores, my 34-point game back in '93 still holds up better." Just like that, a spark ignited. What started as a simple comment turned into a full-blown debate. Was Sheryl being protective of her legacy, or was she challenging Caitlin to prove herself? The internet went wild. Some people sided with Sheryl, praising her contributions to the game and arguing that comparing eras was unfair. Others rallied behind Caitlin, saying she represented the future of basketball and deserved recognition for her achievements. Debates raged on podcasts, talk shows, and social media threads. Even casual fans got sucked into the conversation. Everyone wanted to know, who really had the better game? Was it Sheryl's iconic 34 points, or Caitlin's jaw-dropping 35? What made this feud so fascinating wasn't just the numbers, it was the personalities behind them. On one side, you had Sheryl, the trailblazer who refused to let go of her place in history. On the other, you had Caitlin, the rising star determined to make her own mark. Their clash wasn't just about basketball, it was about pride, ambition, and the timeless battle between old-school grit and new-school brilliance. As the days passed, the tension grew thicker. Neither woman backed down. Sheryl doubled down on her comments, calling Caitlin talented but inexperienced. Caitlin, for her part, stayed calm, at least publicly. During a press conference, when a reporter brought up Sheryl's remarks, Caitlin smiled and said, "I have nothing but respect for Sheryl Swoopes. She paved the way for all of us. But if she wants to compare numbers, I'm happy to remind everyone that records are meant to be broken." That line sent shockwaves through the sports world. Suddenly, it wasn't just about 2 players anymore. It was about generations colliding. Older fans admired Sheryl's tenacity and loyalty to her era, while younger audiences cheered Caitlin's confidence and hunger to push boundaries. The divide wasn't just generational, it was cultural. People weren't just picking sides based on skill. They were choosing which version of basketball they believed in. And yet, amidst all the noise, there was something undeniable. A connection. Both women shared a love for the game that transcended their differences. They might have seen things differently, but deep down, they were fighting for the same thing: greatness. Whether it was Sheryl battling to keep her legacy alive or Caitlin striving to create her own, both were driven by a desire to leave an impact. Little did anyone know this rivalry was far from over. It was only getting started. When Sheryl Swoopes made that offhand comment about her 34-point game being better than Caitlin Clark's 35, she probably didn't think it would blow up the way it did. But in today's world, where everything gets dissected online within seconds, there was no way this was staying quiet. What started as a casual remark quickly turned into a wildfire of opinions, memes, and hashtags. The internet loves a good debate, and this one had all the ingredients for chaos. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with reactions. Fans of both players took sides, turning the conversation into something bigger than basketball. On one side, you had people defending Sheryl, saying she was a legend who built the game from scratch. They argued that comparing her era to today's wasn't fair because the level of competition and resources were completely different back then. Sheryl played when women's basketball wasn't even taken seriously. One fan tweeted, "She deserves respect, not criticism." On the other side, Caitlin's supporters weren't backing down either. They pointed out that records are meant to be broken and that Caitlin's achievements spoke for themselves. "Just because someone came first doesn't mean they're automatically better," another fan wrote. "Caitlin is proving herself right now, and that's what matters." The arguments got heated fast. Memes started popping up everywhere. Some showed Sheryl holding a trophy with the caption, "Still undefeated in SAS." Others featured Caitlin sinking a three-pointer with the text, "New kid on the block, same fire." Hashtags like Team Swoopes and Team Clark trended globally, drawing in millions of views. Even people who didn't follow basketball closely found themselves sucked into the drama. Amidst all the noise, Caitlin stayed silent, at least at first. She didn't respond to any of the comments or engage in the online feud. Instead, she let her game do the talking. During her next match, she scored another impressive 30 points, leading her team to victory. After the game, reporters swarmed her asking about Sheryl's remarks. Caitlin smiled, clearly prepared for the question. "I have nothing but respect for Sheryl Swoopes," she said calmly. "She paved the way for all of us. But if she wants to compare numbers, I'm happy to remind everyone that records are meant to be broken." That response sent shockwaves through the sports world. It was polite but firm, a perfect blend of respect and confidence. Fans loved it. Her words became the rallying cry for her supporters, who used them to counter every argument thrown their way. Meanwhile, Sheryl wasted no time firing back. During an episode of her podcast, she addressed Caitlin's comments head-on. "I appreciate the nod, but let's not act like humility is optional," she said. "You can break records all day, but if you don't understand the sacrifices it took to build this game, you're missing the point." Her statement reignited the debate. Older fans praised Sheryl for standing her ground, while younger audiences accused her of being bitter and stuck in the past. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with people passionately arguing over who deserved more credit. Some even dug up old footage of Sheryl's games to compare her style to Caitlin's. Analysts joined in too, breaking down stats, strategies, and eras to determine who truly had the edge. As the days went by, the feud only grew louder. Late-night talk show hosts joked about it, morning news anchors debated it, and basketball analysts couldn't stop analyzing it. Even former players weighed in, sharing their thoughts on whether Sheryl's legacy should overshadow Caitlin's achievements. One retired player said, "It's not about who's better. It's about appreciating what each generation brings to the table." But his balanced take didn't get nearly as much attention as the fiery exchanges between fans. What made this whole situation so captivating wasn't just the rivalry itself, it was the emotions behind it. For Sheryl's supporters, this was about honoring the pioneers who fought for recognition when women's basketball was barely on the map. For Caitlin's fans, it was about celebrating the future and embracing change. Both sides felt deeply connected to their cause, which made the debate feel personal. But amidst all the arguments and memes, there was also curiosity. People wondered if these two would ever meet face to face. Would they shake hands and laugh it off? Or would the tension carry over into real life? The possibility of a confrontation kept everyone hooked, waiting to see how the story would unfold. Behind the scenes, things weren't as hostile as they seemed online. Friends of both players revealed that neither held any real animosity toward the other. In fact, Caitlin reportedly admired Sheryl growing up and often studied her game to improve her own skills. As for Sheryl, those close to her insisted she wasn't trying to start a fight. She just wanted to remind people of the work it took to elevate women's basketball to where it is today. Still, none of that mattered to the fans caught up in the frenzy. To them, this wasn't just a disagreement, it was a clash of titans. And as the buzz continued to grow, one thing became clear. This feud wasn't going away anytime soon. If anything, it was setting the stage for something bigger. Whether it was through interviews, games, or maybe even a direct encounter, everyone knew this rivalry had the potential to shape the narrative of women's basketball for years to come. While the online chaos raged on, both Sheryl and Caitlin kept doing what they did best, playing the game they loved. But the shadow of their feud loomed large, reminding everyone that sometimes the most compelling stories aren't just about wins and losses. They're about pride, passion, and the timeless struggle to define greatness. Just when it seemed like the online feud between Sheryl and Caitlin couldn't get any bigger, fate stepped in to throw everyone a curveball. ESPN announced a special documentary series celebrating 50 years of women's basketball. The project aimed to bring together icons from different generations to reflect on how far the game had come and where it was headed. Naturally, both Sheryl and Caitlin were invited to participate. At first, fans weren't sure how this would play out. Would they refuse to appear together? Would the tension boil over on camera? Everyone held their breath, waiting to see if either of them would decline. But neither could afford to back down, not without looking petty or ungrateful for the opportunity. So, reluctantly, they agreed to take part. The day of filming arrived, and the atmosphere backstage was thick with anticipation. Sheryl walked, in first exuding confidence as always. She carried herself like someone who knew she belonged there, because she did. Her presence commanded respect, even among the crew setting up lights and microphones. A few minutes later, Caitlin arrived, flanked by her parents who whispered words of encouragement as they made their way inside. From the moment Caitlin stepped into the room, cameras caught glimpses of stolen glances between the two stars. Neither smiled nor nodded hello. It was clear that despite agreeing to be part of the same project, the air between them was still charged. Reporters buzzed around, trying to gauge their body language, while producers scrambled to keep things running smoothly. When the cameras finally rolled, moderator Robin Roberts took center stage. Known for her ability to navigate tricky conversations with grace, she opened the discussion by asking each player what women's basketball meant to them. Sheryl leaned forward, her voice steady and filled with emotion. "Back then, we didn't even know if people cared about women's basketball," she said. "We played for love, not likes. Every time we stepped onto the court, we were proving something, not just to others, but to ourselves." Her words resonated deeply, drawing nods of agreement from the audience and other panelists. When it was Caitlin's turn to speak, she paused for a moment, clearly choosing her words carefully. "And today we're playing because you showed us it was possible," she said, looking directly at Sheryl. "Without pioneers like you, none of us would be here." For a split second, the room fell silent. You could almost feel the weight of history shifting. Cheryl's expression softened ever so slightly, though she quickly masked it with her trademark smirk. But the ice had been broken, or at least cracked. For the rest of the discussion, the two found themselves nodding along to each other's points, sharing stories about the sacrifices they'd made and the challenges they'd faced. One particularly poignant moment came when Robin asked about the pressures of being role models. Sheryl admitted that during her era, there wasn't much guidance for female athletes navigating fame. "We were figuring it out as we went," she said. "There was no blueprint." Caitlin chimed in, explaining how social media had changed the game entirely. "Now everything is public," she said. "Every win, every loss, every mistake. It's all out there for everyone to see. It's a blessing and a curse." As the conversation unfolded, viewers at home noticed something remarkable. Despite their differences, Sheryl and Caitlin weren't so different after all. Both had sacrificed countless hours, endured criticism, and pushed themselves beyond their limits to excel in a sport they loved. Their shared experiences created an unspoken bond that transcended generations. By the end of the session, the tension between them had eased considerably. During a break, cameras caught Sheryl approaching Caitlin for the first time. "You handled yourself well out there," she said, offering a small smile. Caitlin returned the gesture, replying, "Thanks. Coming from you, that means a lot." It wasn't exactly a hug-it-out moment, but it was progress, a sign that maybe, just maybe, their rivalry could evolve into mutual respect. Of course, the peace didn't last long. Once the cameras stopped rolling, reporters swarmed them with questions about their newfound camaraderie. Did this mean the feud was over? Were they planning to work together in the future? Both gave vague answers, careful not to commit to anything concrete. But one thing was certain. The documentary had shifted the narrative. What started as a war of words now felt like the beginning of something bigger, a bridge between past and present, built on shared passion and perseverance. As the event wrapped up, fans couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. Would they meet again under different circumstances? Could their relationship grow beyond polite exchanges? No one knew for sure, but one thing was undeniable. This unexpected meeting had changed the dynamic between them, and possibly the trajectory of women's basketball itself. Not long after the documentary aired, rumors began swirling about a charity exhibition game that promised to bring together legends and rising stars of women's basketball. The event was dubbed Legends versus Legends, and it wasn't just another friendly matchup. It was designed to honor the past while showcasing the future of the sport. Former greats like Lisa Leslie, Diana Taurasi, and Candace Parker were set to play alongside current sensations like Sabrina Ionescu and Paige Bueckers. But the real buzz? It came from the news that both Sheryl and Caitlin had signed on to compete. Fans immediately started speculating. Would they be on opposing teams? Would Sheryl guard Caitlin? Could Caitlin prove her doubters wrong in front of a live audience? The anticipation was electric, and tickets sold out within hours. As the event drew closer, the trash talk picked up again. Sheryl, ever the competitor, wasn't shy about stirring the pot during practice sessions. Reportedly, she told her teammates, "Let's see if her 35 can hold up against my defense." Her comments spread like wildfire, reigniting debates online. Some praised her confidence while others accused her of being unnecessarily harsh. Either way, it added fuel to the fire, and everyone knew Caitlin wouldn't back down. Caitlin, for her part, kept quiet publicly but let her actions speak volumes. In interviews leading up to the game, she stayed diplomatic, saying things like, "I'm here to have fun and support a good cause." But those close to her revealed she was using Sheryl's words as motivation. She spent extra hours working on her footwork and perfecting her mid-range jumper. Her coaches noticed a shift in her focus, a determination that went beyond the usual competitive spirit. On game day, the arena buzzed with energy. Fans filled the stands, wearing jerseys representing both players. Some held signs reading 34, 35, while others countered with, "Records are meant to be broken." The atmosphere was electric, a mix of excitement and tension. When the starting lineups were announced, the crowd erupted as Sheryl and Caitlin locked eyes for the opening tip-off. From the moment the whistle blew, it was clear this wasn't just any exhibition game. It was personal. Sheryl moved with surprising agility for someone her age, using every trick in the book to disrupt Caitlin's rhythm. She crouched low, anticipating Caitlin's moves, and shadowed her relentlessly. Meanwhile, Caitlin relied on quick bursts of speed and pinpoint accuracy to counter Sheryl's physicality. Every time Caitlin tried to drive to the basket, Sheryl was there, cutting off angles and forcing her to adjust. The first quarter ended with both players throwing subtle jabs at each other. After one particularly tough defensive play, Sheryl smirked and said loud enough for nearby cameras to catch, "Still got it, kid." Caitlin shot back without missing a beat. "Not bad for someone your age." The exchange drew cheers and laughter from the crowd, who loved the playful yet intense dynamic between them. By halftime, the score was tied, and both players had tallied impressive stats. Sheryl led her team with tenacious defense, forcing multiple turnovers and sparking fast breaks. Caitlin dazzled with deep three-pointers and flashy assists, leaving fans in awe of her creativity. During a timeout, microphones picked up Sheryl quipping to her teammates, "She's good, but she hasn't seen anything yet." Caitlin overheard and grinned, replying under her breath, "We'll see." In the second half, the intensity ramped up even more. Caitlin adjusted her strategy, relying less on isolation plays and more on ball movement to create open shots. She hit back-to-back threes, drawing roars from the crowd and narrowing the gap. Sheryl responded by clamping down even harder on defense, blocking a key shot and igniting a run for her team. The two seemed locked in their own private battle, feeding off each other's energy and elevating the level of play. With seconds left on the clock, the game came down to a nail-biting finish. Caitlin drove to the basket, attempting a game-winning layup, but Sheryl blocked the shot, sealing the victory for her team. As the buzzer sounded, Sheryl raised her fist triumphantly, while Caitlin stood stunned, clutching her chest. The crowd erupted into cheers, torn between admiration for Sheryl's grit and awe at Caitlin's effort. Backstage after the game, emotions ran high. Caitlin graciously acknowledged Sheryl's skill, saying, "She proved tonight why she's a legend. I'll take that lesson and keep working harder." Sheryl, visibly moved, responded, "Caitlin's going to carry this game forward. If anyone can break my records, I hope it's her." Their exchange marked a turning point in their relationship, a mutual respect earned through competition. What started as a contentious feud had evolved into something deeper. Both women realized they weren't so different after all. They shared a love for the game, a relentless drive to succeed, and a desire to leave a lasting impact. And as they walked off the court together, surrounded by cheering fans, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter, not just for them, but for women's basketball as a whole. When the final buzzer sounded, signaling Sheryl's team as the winners, the arena erupted into a mix of cheers and applause. It wasn't just any exhibition game, it felt like history unfolding in real time. For those watching, it was clear that this matchup between Sheryl and Caitlin wasn't just about points or stats. It was about pride, legacy, and proving oneself on the court. Sheryl stood tall, her arms raised high in triumph. She had been doubted by many who thought she couldn't keep up with younger players, but tonight, she proved them wrong. Her defense was relentless, her instincts razor-sharp, and her competitive fire still burned as brightly as ever. Blocking Caitlin's last-second shot wasn't just a play, it was a statement. It said, "I may not be playing professionally anymore, but I'm still here, still relevant." Caitlin, on the other hand, looked stunned. She stared at the scoreboard for a moment, replaying the final seconds in her mind. That block? It stung. Not because she lost. That wasn't what mattered most to her, but because she knew she could have done better. As the crowd chanted Sheryl's name, Caitlin took a deep breath, shook off her disappointment, and walked over to shake hands with her opponent. "Great game," Caitlin said, extending her hand. Her voice carried respect, even if her expression betrayed a hint of frustration. "You too," Sheryl replied, gripping Caitlin's hand firmly. "You're tougher than I thought." It might have seemed like a simple exchange, but there was more to it. Both women understood the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a handshake after a hard-fought game, it was acknowledgement. Acknowledgement of effort, talent, and the shared love for basketball that connected them despite their differences. As they walked off the court together, surrounded by cameras and cheering fans, the tension from earlier weeks felt almost non-existent. Sure, there was still a hint of rivalry lingering in the air, but it had transformed into something healthier, something inspiring. Fans noticed it immediately. Social media lit up again, not with arguments this time, but with messages praising both players for their sportsmanship and skill. After the game, reporters swarmed them during the post-game press conference. Microphones were shoved toward Caitlin first, eager to hear how she felt about coming so close to victory only to fall short. "I gave it my all out there," Caitlin said, her tone calm but determined. "Sheryl played an incredible game. She reminded everyone why she's considered one of the greatest. But honestly, I'll take this loss as motivation. If anything, it makes me want to work harder, push further, and come back stronger. Her words resonated deeply with fans. They weren't just hearing from a talented athlete. They were hearing from someone hungry to grow, someone willing to learn from setbacks instead of letting them define her. When it was Sheryl's turn to speak, she leaned forward, her eyes scanning the room before she began. "Let me be clear. I came here to win," she said with a sly grin. "But I also came here to remind people that age is just a number. You can still compete at a high level if you put in the work. That said, I have nothing but admiration for Caitlin. She's got heart, and she's going to do amazing things for this game." The audience erupted into applause. Even longtime critics of Sheryl's earlier comments found themselves nodding along. There was no bitterness in her tone now, only genuine appreciation for what Caitlin brought to the table. What happened next surprised everyone. After the press conference wrapped up, Sheryl approached Caitlin privately. Cameras weren't allowed backstage, but eyewitnesses later described the scene vividly. Sheryl pulled Caitlin aside and said, "Listen, I know I've been tough on you publicly. Maybe too tough, but trust me, it's because I see potential in you. Potential to break records, inspire millions, and take this game to places we never imagined. Don't let anyone, including me, dim your light." Caitlin nodded, visibly moved. "Thank you," she replied softly. "That means a lot coming from you. Your career has always been a benchmark for me. I want to honor what you've built while carving my own path." Their conversation marked a turning point. It wasn't just about mending fences. It was about building a bridge between generations, styles, and perspectives. From that moment on, their relationship shifted from rivals to mentors. Sheryl reached out privately, inviting Caitlin to train together during the off-season. She wanted to share her knowledge, everything she'd learned about reading defenses, staying mentally tough, and leading by example. For Caitlin, it was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. Training with a legend, learning tricks of the trade, directly from someone who paved the way. It was a dream come true. And so, weeks later they met at a quiet gymnasium tucked away in Texas Tech University, where Sheryl once dominated the court. The sessions were intense. Sheryl pushed Caitlin harder than anyone ever had before. She taught her how to anticipate opponents' moves, create space under pressure, and maintain focus when the stakes were highest. Caitlin soaked it all in, asking questions and practicing, tirelessly until her muscles ached. In return, Caitlin introduced Sheryl to new strategies inspired by modern analytics and technology. Together, they blended old-school grit with new-school innovation, creating a training regimen unlike anything either had experienced before. Word of their partnership spread quickly, sparking conversations across the basketball world. Analysts praised their collaboration, calling it a perfect example of how past and present could coexist harmoniously. Fans loved seeing photos and videos of them working side by side, proof that competition didn't have to breed animosity. Instead, it could foster growth and unity. Months later, when Caitlin led her college team to its first-ever national championship, she dedicated the win to Sheryl. During the trophy presentation ceremony, she grabbed the microphone and said, "This victory belongs to everyone who believed in me, including Sheryl Swoopes. She taught me what it means to fight for greatness. Without her guidance, I wouldn't be standing here today." The crowd went wild, chanting Sheryl's name alongside Caitlin's. Watching from the stands, Sheryl smiled, a rare, unguarded smile that spoke volumes. She knew then that her legacy wasn't fading. It was evolving. Through Caitlin, she saw the future of women's basketball, and it looked brighter than ever. It wasn't just about winning games anymore. It was about leaving a mark, about passing the torch while keeping the flame alive. And as Caitlin hoisted the championship trophy high above her head, Sheryl sat quietly, proud not just of what Caitlin had achieved, but of the role she'd played in helping her get there. The showdown between them hadn't ended with bitterness or resentment. Instead, it had blossomed into something far greater, a bond forged through competition, respect, and a shared passion for the game. The bond between Sheryl and Caitlin didn't stop at training sessions or public appearances. It grew deeper with time, evolving into a mentorship that went beyond basketball. What started as a heated rivalry had transformed into something far more meaningful, a partnership built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and an unshakable love for the game. During the off-season, Caitlin often visited Texas Tech to train with Sheryl. Those early mornings in the gym became sacred moments for both of them. For Caitlin, it was a chance to learn from one of the greatest players in history. She soaked up every piece of advice Sheryl offered, whether it was about footwork, reading defenses, or staying mentally tough during pressure situations. But what surprised Caitlin most was how much she learned about life off the court. Sheryl wasn't just teaching her how to play better, she was showing her how to carry herself with grace and resilience. Being great isn't just about talent, Sheryl told her one day after a grueling practice session. It's about character. How you treat people when no one's watching, that's what defines you. Those words stuck with Caitlin long after they left the gym. For Sheryl, these sessions were equally rewarding. At first, she'd been hesitant about working so closely with someone who represented the next generation, a generation she sometimes felt disconnected from. But spending time with Caitlin reminded her of why she fell in love with basketball in the first place. The joy of competition, the thrill of improvement, and the camaraderie that comes from pushing each other to be better. Watching Caitlin grow, not just as a player but as a person, reignited Sheryl's passion for mentoring young athletes. Their connection extended beyond drills and strategy. Over post-practice meals, they talked about everything: the challenges of balancing school and sports, dealing with criticism, and finding ways to inspire others. Sheryl opened up about her own struggles early in her career, the doubts she faced, the sacrifices she made, and the moments when she almost gave up. Caitlin listened intently, realizing how much courage it must have taken for Sheryl to pave the way for players like her. In return, Caitlin shared her dreams and fears. She admitted there were times when the weight of expectations felt overwhelming. "Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying this huge target on my back," she confessed during one of their conversations. "Like everyone expects me to be perfect all the time." Sheryl nodded knowingly. "That feeling never goes away," she said. "But here's the thing. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up, keep fighting. Perfection is overrated. Passion, that's what counts." Those heartfelt talks strengthened their relationship. They weren't just coach and mentee anymore. They were friends. People noticed the change too. Fans loved seeing photos of them laughing together after workouts or sitting courtside at games, cheering each other on. Social media lit up whenever they posted updates about their progress, with hashtags like "Passing the torch" trending worldwide. The narrative had shifted completely, from rivals clashing to legends collaborating. When Caitlin returned to college for her senior season, she brought everything she'd learned from Sheryl onto the court. Her defense improved dramatically. Thanks to Sheryl's relentless focus on fundamentals, she became smarter about using screens, quicker at anticipating passes, and sharper at closing gaps. Offensively, she incorporated some of Sheryl's signature moves into her own game, mixing classic techniques with her modern flair. But it wasn't just her skills that changed, it was her mindset. Caitlin played with a newfound confidence, knowing she had someone in her corner who believed in her wholeheartedly. Every time she stepped onto the court, she carried a little piece of Sheryl with her. Whether it was through a perfectly executed crossover or a clutch shot under pressure, Caitlin honored her mentor in every move she made. The turning point came during the NCAA tournament. Caitlin led her team through round after round, dominating opponents with poise and precision. When they reached the championship game, the stakes couldn't have been higher. This wasn't just another title run. It was a chance to cement her legacy while paying tribute to those who came before her. As the final buzzer sounded and Caitlin's team emerged victorious, emotions poured out. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged her teammates, celebrating a dream years in the making. But when she grabbed the microphone to address the crowd, her voice steadied. "This win is for everyone who supported me along the way," she said, choking back tears. "But especially for Sheryl Swoopes. She taught me what it means to fight for greatness, not just on the court but in life." Without her guidance, I wouldn't be standing here today." The crowd erupted into applause, chanting Sheryl's name, alongside Caitlin's. Cameras panned to where Sheryl sat in the stands, her eyes glistening with pride. In that moment, she realized something profound. Her legacy wasn't fading, it was expanding. Through Caitlin, she saw the future of women's basketball, and it looked brighter than ever. After the game, Caitlin sought out Sheryl in the stands. Embracing her tightly, she whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." Sheryl smiled, pulling back to look her in the eye. "You earned this yourself," she replied. "I'm just glad I got to watch it happen." From that day forward, their partnership continued to inspire millions. Together, they launched initiatives aimed at empowering young female athletes, hosting camps and workshops across the country. They spoke candidly about the importance of mentorship, urging older players to invest in the next generation while encouraging younger ones to honor the past. Their story became a symbol of unity within women's basketball, a reminder that greatness isn't defined by individual achievements but by the impact we leave on others. Sheryl and Caitlin proved that rivalries don't have to divide us. They can bring us closer together if approached with humility and respect. Years later, when Caitlin joined the WNBA and eventually earned her place among the league's elite, she never forgot where she came from or who helped her get there. During her Hall of Fame induction speech, she dedicated a portion of her remarks to Sheryl, saying, "She didn't just teach me how to play the game, she taught me how to live it, and for that I'll always be grateful." Sitting in the audience, Sheryl wiped away a tear, knowing she'd done more than pass on her knowledge. She'd created a legacy that would endure for generations to come. Through Caitlin, her story lived on, not as a relic of the past, but as a beacon guiding the future. And so what began as a clash of egos ended as a testament to the power of respect, growth, and shared purpose. Their journey reminded everyone that true greatness isn't about being better than someone else. It's about lifting each other up and leaving the game better than you found it.